Tá daoine as éiring a dul ar imirce go Nua Eabhrac leis na cianta. Is ánnach roithí siad ceannas na pobal imirceach is mó ar domhan ar a bhreathir. Beidh dhá chláir sa treisio, agus ceomid amach ó Gaeil Nua Eabhrac cad is brí le bheith éarnach sa chathair sin inniuh. Nua Eabhrac, chathair imirceach. Chathair a bhfuil níos mó éarnach agus Gaeil Mheiriceánach iontu ná an éon chathair eile is Stáit Aontaithe Mheirice. Bhín an córas soléire ar neart agus ar chur le chéile na néarnach le fiscint an so gach arach ar ascail le cúig. Sí paraid lá le pádraig I gcathair Nua Eabhrac, an phráid chatharga is mó agus is sinne ar domhan. Bhí an chéad phráid ann ar an 17 de bhárta, 1772. Ceithre bliana déag sul ar síníag forógra na Saoirse. Beidh 250 blian den bráid á chealúra sa bhliain 2000 agus a 11.
Cé go bhfuil na hÉireannaigh lonathe I Nua Eabhrac le 400 bliana nuas. Is féidir a rá gur thug féile néamh pádraig aitheanta stóibh mar phobal ar lena bhéanúlacht féinnig. Tagan an ceist an níos go rialta, céiseanna agus cad is brí le bheith I d'éarnach. Ag ní lia duine natúram, mar sin, béidir go bhfuil freagra ar fáil sna cochanna éagsúla ón alma tá caite, agus ó scéaltán le inniuh. Béidir gur sinne sin hain. Gaeil Nua Eabhrac.
A dearan an banatí den am ná rih gacrod. So le an banatí Eve.
Tháinig úna me gilacodí go Nua Eabhrac sna 8 den géad se caite, an uair dhearnach gur tháinig na slúite as éiring go dtí an chathair.
Bhí sa géirí dul ó éireann, bhí sé ró cún agus ró bheag dom ag an ná. So bhí sa géirí just a bheith séir ón áit agus tréimhse bheith gom aspaile. Bhí mar cinnteach ra bhéin simagan a bheith, ceangailte leis an ggóphobal Gaeilin ag an am. Ach a bheith ag measca suas le daoine leis na Mheiriceánaigh agus daoine ó gach cultúréile sin an rud a bhí có úntaach lena bheith an seo. Sin an rud a thug inspráid agus, míú nua agus gachrod nua doing. Bhí mise ag le rud nua, seach ag géirí scuilt agus a dhéanamh leis an rud sean agus kind of féinúlacht méid an héine a crothú.
And then you had Finnegan's pub was there. Now it's a Colombian bakery. It's all changed, no?
What's changed a lot, guys?
Oh, yeah. That was a travel agency. You remember all the Irish people buying the tickets to go home to Ireland?
Yeah.
Mar a bonan le húna, chatte canatan éire ágant ar chúnsí ach na míochta. Thu sé cail díreach go dtí tearman an cheantar éireannaigh I Woodside, Queens.
And they're called, rumour has it, on a Friday and Saturday they'll be packed. Chivan and Old Town Walton.
When I came from the west of Ireland, all I knew was my neighbours, basically, like 10-mile radius, but I was very fortunate. I met a lot of young people like myself, especially from Belfast and Dublin. We'd all hang in a bar in Woodside called the Woodside Lounge, and we used to hang there and look after each other, get apartments, jobs, the whole lot. So it was like a little network of our own group, helping each other, I met people actually came into Woodside Lounge with a suitcase, no phone number, nothing. And they were never left, they were always taken care of. They always got an apartment, stayed with someone for a couple of weeks. Everyone looked after each other, it was great kind of a great family environment,
Okay, good chat. Oh, thanks,
I worked as a carpenter, so working for a company and worked as many hours as I could, 7 days a week was no problem. The work was easy, compared to what I was used to back home, on the farm.
Cheers, everybody. God bless.
There was no dole, no mammy and daddy here, so I had to work, put a bit of money aside, our foreparents had to work hard and open the doors for us, you know.
Justin, you want my black pudding?
I'm no different than the lads back home in the sense that I still follow the football, the rugby, the hurling. I still follow everything. Everything Irish. The only thing is I live 3,000 miles away from Ireland.
In New York, there are the Irish who came here because they had to. Those who came here decades ago for work and who stayed on, building little imitations of Ireland around them in Queens and in the Bronx. And then there are the Irish who came here over the last 10 years because they wanted to. The lifestyle migrants, not the economic migrants. The young people who moved here because they wanted this city for themselves, wanted to be a part of it, and wanted to leave all traces of Ireland behind. In 2005, when Angus and I moved here, Ireland was still booming. We didn't have to leave. In fact, we left jobs to come here and do what we wanted to do. So yeah, there is kind of a sense of, it is something a bit like guilt, you know, when you look at 21-year-olds who don't really want to leave home and are coming here. Some of them are probably even coming here illegally. It's a real luxury to be able to come to a place because you want to live here, rather than because there's nothing for you at home.
Nuair a chadar imeacht as Manhattan ag tús na nóchadaí mar go raibh an cís ró ardán, thosnaigh alíontóirí a bogadh go counter etnach hart Williamsburg in Brooklyn. A tharíodh an áit ó bhain is tá Williamsburg inis I measc na geantar is fashionanta agus is bohéimí in Nua Eabhrac.
When we moved here in 2005, we went up to Queens to see my cousin. Thady, my cousin's husband, said to us, "Where are you living?" And we said, "Oh, we're in Williamsburg." And he said, "Oh, not many Irish there." Thady also did the thing that I think happens with a lot of Irish people who move here. We said, "How much rent are you paying?" And we told him. He said, "That's far too much. I can get you a place for $500, and I can get you a job if you want it. The support community is there." And he wasn't offended when we said, "No, it's okay. We'll shuffle along by ourselves and see how we get on." The decision to move here was, for us, we were 26 and 28 at the time, and it was just very much bound up with kind of striking out on our own. We were both coming here as well to concentrate on things that we wanted to do. Angus came here to do a PhD, and I came here to write my novel. I was working as a journalist in Dublin, but I wasn't getting any time to write my fiction, and I could see the way it was going. I was going to get busier and busier, and I just felt something has to give, My novel that I've just published is about Ireland. It's set in Ireland, and it's about contemporary Ireland. It's about an Irish family. And the only way I could write it was outside of Ireland. I needed to be away from Ireland in order to do that. When you're far away from it, the things that come to mind are the things that matter.
Chur an gorta mór na milliúin imircach trasna an Atlantic go Nua Eabhrac. Nuair riisidir an chathair, ní go maith a cathaglór. Hacaigh an fearr tiúnscoil Samuel Morse le policy an fortí chónaimig, díalseach de chuirt an mreatan. Bhí an méid seo le ráige sa bhliain 85. I would erect a gallows at every landing place in the city of New York and suspend every cursed Irishman as soon as he steps on our shores.
It was the third world of the 19th century Ireland, suddenly plunging into the first world. The only way it could replicate that is almost like going to another planet. It's almost an experience you can't have anymore of coming out of that primitive world that they were, subsistence farmers, and having to make these tremendous adjustments overnight.
Tugtar gur bíd an bás an colscara agus an tinnimeacha na trí imeachtas mó a chur an búirt agus brownar an mar dhéanaad. Ní dóilm go smuointe rómhór orthu sin. Is mór an brise crí é an tinnimeacha. Agus tú ag teachta dír thar lear, bíon ort do scórnach a réiteach, bíon ort do bhealach féin a dhéanamh I dtír ísachta, agus is scrú é sin a loga. Cé go leirútar teanga do bhaintere a bhfuil cuid mhór díomh ann leat. Is bris a crí fós é churn sé braunart.
Is fága long híos agus huasí Má i geabhain ní chalalán.
Bhog an Commodore Órán Susan McKeown ó bhle Gaeil Nua Eabhrac in 1990, treiste scláireacht do bhainteach sa cheol agus sa drámaíocht. Ó 1995 le tá gá album díag eisithe. Bronna gradam Grammíoirí I 2006 mar bhail den grúpa The Klezmatics.
Anchor with me. Bhí cónaí orm tamala Queens. Líomháin bhuíos gur sáile bhí mé mar jaall an méid éireannach a bhí ann. Hastig go géir in Nua Eabhrac. Bhí sé sa bliain 1986 a tháinig mé an seo den chéadúir, you know, on the J1 visa. Ba an sinna fór mé blas beag Nua Eabhrac agus chuir mé dúil intí. Scanró sí an crí is an tanam asat ach bhealach sí thu ag an am céine. Laurítar trocatanga a laid sa cheantar in a bhfuil cónaí ormsa. Déanam agsúlacht Nua Eabhrac maithastam. Déanam ag cheiliúra I gcónaí agus rinne mé riamh é. Ag an am céine chur an fáilte rih héal tradiisiúnta na hÉireann chomá. Tá sé ann ó bhuachas agus is ann ó rugga mé.
Treis dó bheith obair I Lúndan do bhórán dearthóirí fashion agus den dearthóir amráiteach Christian Lacroix I Báras tháinig an cíoríocht Dan O'Neill go Nua Eabhrac in 1993, fiachant conas éireach leis as a stúim féin. Thug sé bliantar héana bhanú I nán fashion Nua Eabhrac. Inis tá lipéad dá chuid héanaige, théa agus anara go deoir. Ach ní bóthar réig atá curtha dothaige.
I personally find New York hard. No one's swinging doors wide open for you. On a one-to-one basis, when I meet people and they know that I'm Irish, it's a big, wide open embrace. Meeting women one-on-one on the store when I'm addressing them as a customer, there's a connection. But in the fashion industry, it hasn't helped at all.
See, this is the little boy in Ballyhaig. Part of my vision was when I used to stare out onto the bay and see the sun reflecting across the water. The sunlight was really, really bright, and I would squint into the middle and imagine cutting out the really bright part of it and then making a dress out of that. And then finally, some odd years later, I finally got to make a dress out of pure dazzling sunlight. So when you see this with a spotlight on it, it's like looking into the sun reflecting onto the water. It's amazing.
The friends that I have here that are Irish New Yorkers, we're not necessarily friends because we feel like we're Irish people banding together. It's just that we have probably the same sense of humor and we get each other, and I'm not part of a greater Irish community here per se.
No, myself and Joanna are on our way. We're just crossing 7th Avenue.
In the early 80s, there was very much the stigma of being a culture from Kerry. I always was very conscious of it, and when I came here to New York, I kind of distanced myself a little bit, I think, from my whole background. And I think it sort of started to change a little bit in my head when Riverdance sort of started, because they sort of put a chic, modern spin on our heritage, basically, from an American point of view, that it wasn't a sort of a corned beef and cabbage version of Ireland.
Everything I do is about being luminous and radiant. It's about the sparkle and radiance that comes from Thea and being the goddess of light.
I thought my origins were humble, but I actually don't think they're humble at all. I think they're incredible. There's such a richness to our heritage that I think a lot of people don't know about.
It doesn't weigh anything on. I've been told. I've never worn it.
No, it really does. It is versatile.
I want to go back to the Book of Kells and sort of our whole Celtic background and embrace our culture without people thinking I'm making step dancing costumes. In all of the stories that I tell about what I do, it's very important for me to connect it back to Ballyhaig and back to County Kerry, because I think the artist that I am came very much from the environment that I grew up in.
The champagne one is a better price.
It's funny, when I talk about home always as Ireland, I always have to like correct myself. It's not even Brooklyn, and I go back as often as I can. Home is in Ireland, but I live in New York, and I'll be living here for the foreseeable future.
Níos muoíonn é mar chuid éarnachas. Is fíorach é, agus tagann sé chun solas có lua agus i labhraíonn. Cloistar mar bhlas agus sin. Agus ní bhéon riamh ag iarraí éonúlacht a ceilt. Tá sé anam agus táhachtach ar tlí, ach níos muoí méir. In ainneoin éon rud a cloistar fuaithe is chathair cháirdiúil áilteach í Nua Eabhrac. Is féidir aon hata chatham an seo agus tús a chur le aon rud as de stóm féin má bhíonn sima agat. Tá sé sin feicte going i bpobal na hÉireann an seo, arís is arís eile.
I think every immigrant's story is a huge struggle. It's an individual struggle to become what you ultimately are in this country. And it's a different dream for us all.
Bégan de Jim Foley tibredar nágant in naidíag noch a cahir chun obair a lorug in Nua Eabhrac. Nuair a lendáil sé a bhos, hic sé nar raibh an chathair mar a tuairisc.
I had this attitude that everything would be handed to me as soon as I got here. And that wasn't the case. It was a tough struggle here in the early 90s. The construction business was very bad here at the time. The economy wasn't great. It wasn't the pot of gold I was waiting for. I originally started in the bar business as a bartender, and I had to get out of that. That wasn't for me. I was really a good customer of the place, so I had to move on from that to the steel business.
Yeah, what's the crack? What's the crack?
You didn't go there. You didn't go there.
Here we go, Jihad.
I had a trainer, Roosevelt Farrell, had asked me to start helping out some fighters in the gym. He knew I was involved in business and stuff, and he said maybe I could work with some of these fighters. I didn't get a manager's license just so I could represent the fighters with the commission, and I did work with fighters, but I never signed no contracts or made no big commitment to any fighter. Until I met Thomas Hardwick.
Nuair chris sé Nua Eabhrac i 2009, chuig Thomas Hardwick as bla clia cho fada leis an chala gleacaíochta Gaeil Gleason's Gym agus dathraigh a héal ar fad.
Well, bhí mission seo ag mar pell ach ag deir an séisiúr tasta go fannach dachlaí le in an gíomhre. Mar sin bhéas go rachan híos go dtí an boxing gym. Bhí cur amach go mar Gleasons, so mar sin híoslum. Bhí mé train all ann feadh cúpla mí agus bhí cuidas na coaches ag fearra orm. Dúirt siad lom ba mo chódam chuiristeach ar comórtas na Golden Gloves. Nuair a bhuaig mé an comórta sin bhí mé anbhródúil. Le bheith ar an liste sin búteoirí mar airnach leis an fear sin, tá sé just dochreite. Tuigeann bhfuil stair ag buint le dornálathe as Gaeil Nua Eabhrac agus thugann si sin sppraige agus misneach dom. Beidir gur tuchaí glún nua chun cinn de boxers airnach. Bheadh sé iontocht dá bhéid fá mé héin agus tí mé sppraige, agus measam gur féidirlinn.
After the glove, then he just said that's it for the amateurs. He wants to turn pro. So, and then I decided I wanted to really get into the business of boxing, mostly because of Thomas and the potential I see in him. We'd like to build something very positive in this country as far as boxing and Irish boxing particularly, that, you know, that we're going to do great things together. And if some young guy in Tipperary or Dublin or Cork decides, oh, I want to throw my hat in and become a professional, that the first place they'll think of is here in New York with us.
Í a bhuair seanaí hanocht, de Thomas, Jim, agus gach duine atá buintach leis an dornálaí as blá clia. Tréis dó na Golden Gloves, an dúise smó sa sport amateurach a bhaint chábh líon á hin, tá sé tí tuairt féin dornálaíocht ghairmiúil den géadúir.
I really feel Thomas Hardwick's going to be heavyweight champion of the world. We have to believe that. We have to believe it's worthwhile for everybody. And that's not just my opinion, that's the opinion of a lot of people around New York who've been in boxing for years. I want to be associated with boxing, I want to be associated with Irish boxers, and I certainly want to be associated with a great Irish heavyweight. So I don't believe I would have done this with someone who wasn't Irish, really.
Bhí buint mhuar ag an trid I gcónaí le scéal na néarnach an sa, le stig agus le smó den gró dornálaíochta. Ar a dríúlá diag de bhí uil 863, fléasc foréigen ar chráideanna Nua Eabhrac. Lean an dún bharú, an robáil agus na dóitáin ar feadh ceithre lá, is bhí imirce gas éiring I grí lár na círébe. Cur a conscríomh I bhaim den géadúir agus sin é a spreag an foréigen. Cheadig an conscríomh den rialtas na 100,000 fearr a listáil san aram. Chaf na héirnig amach ar na sráideanna chun léirsú I gcuine chun scríofa, a chanig slua ferragach rompa agus ní a bhada gur chuig cuasaí an olcas. An chiilint a bhí arsú le blianta idir éireannig agus Americanig de lucht na Hafrica faoi fostanna ar bheagán pá, de chuir sé thar muil inis ar chlí bharafach. Ní léir an fua cinne a spreag na héirnig ag deireadh naoú hístéag, ach tá méid seo cinnte, mar iag céad agus naoine dhéag, agus ba ag círéib chun scríofa Nua Eabhrac an choiríl charach is mó dar hála is stair Verice.
The original sin of the United States is racism, but I think it's important to remember that the Irish themselves were perceived as a different race, and that their perception was that in America, somebody's going to be at the bottom. We're just coming out of a society where we were at the bottom, and now we're here, and there are a lot of people who would be perfectly happy if we were at the bottom.
Orsa seachtain dimmer mé pelsa counter sinach le cúpla freastalí ón mér. Ar an slí sin níor a bhada gur tháinig éileamh mór air. Tamil ina dhé sin thosaigh roinnt buacalaí sinacha ón geantar ag immerslinn. In imeacht na blianta bhí daoine ó gach ceann den domhan a himirt ar nós cathair Nua Eabhrac í féin. Is sampla é seo de gach a bhfuil dúlagam ann sa cathair seo, an meascán daoine agus an fuinmh atá acu.
Dag Clarence Lynn blá clia agus chuig ar imirce go Nua Eabhrac sa bhliain 2000. Ní ngeall ar ghéarghá gur a bhégan dó imeacht. Chuig sé ann as a stúim héin.
Bhí an tá dardagarm go bhfuair mé vísa sa crancóir an céadúir a chuir mé isteach air. Nílam cínte cad a dhéanaan dá má rud é nar thugad dom é. Bhí Coney orm san East Village fa 8 mlína dús. Bhí mé gobarí mayor an sin. Leis Aeronach ach a bhí difriúil leis na béir Aeronach eile bhí ann. Le fiorina ní rah cuma géalach Corbe ach ba hí na hatin lom. Ba líbhá le hana chur muintir Nua Eabhrac mar a bhí. Ba chun taíáil an gahar agus gach a rah thardiscinta cí a bhog mé ann. Is cathirí a bhfuil mór an le thardiscinta cí. Duscail an chahar mo chúla dom. Is féidir de cuid aisling í furú an seo agus déanamh do réir de chola. Is cuma do bhíntir Nua Eabhrac.
Mythology has been a big part of, I mean, growing up in Ireland, there's a lot of mythology, and I actually initially wanted to use a Celtic goddess, but a lot of the names weren't easily pronounced.
Hastig go Gavin Manley a gcónaí dul ag obair in Nua Eabhrac. Dag sé ble clia I 2002, agus fuair sé post I gceannas na cólachtaí fógraíochta fashion is mó in Nua Eabhrac.
Gavin is director of marketing and new business development, and we work very closely together. Working in New York, there's different ethnic networks that certainly exist, and you can market to them and you can tap into them. But it had never occurred to me that there was one that existed with the Irish American. We just thought it was a great opportunity for us to begin to explore and see where it goes.
The idea of tapping into the Irish community here, I mean, it's hugely exciting to me now. I didn't really move thousands of miles away to be surrounded by Irish people, and was quite conscious in my head that I wanted to embrace whatever New York and the US at large had to offer. From that perspective, I suppose, I probably pushed away a little bit of my Irishness, and even when I was in Ireland, I was never the most patriotic. All the boys would have been much more patriotic than I would. I was at an event fairly recently. Gabriel Byrne was the MC, and I remember going to that with a very business networking head on me with a view to getting some work for the agency. What kind of blew me away was when I went to the event and the music and the dancing at the beginning, and then Gabriel Byrne got up on stage and he read this poem, the name of which escapes me now, but it's one of the oldest poems written down from something like the 4th century, As Gaeilge. And he read it, and what really surprised me was I kind of got overwhelmed a little bit with emotion, which never really happens to me. That was a testament to the fact that my Irishness is something that I've kind of reconciled. It's something that I've dug deep within and kind of figured out what that means, and it's now part of my identity again, or maybe for the first time.
Good evening, folks, and you're very welcome indeed to Ireland Calls radio show. We hope now that you're going to find a nice comfortable seat, sit back, relax now, and enjoy our show. Now we're going to get right to the music.
From me home I started, left the girls at June, nearly broken heart to salute.
I came from Cove, County Cork. We were farmers. At that time when I was growing up, women were basically at home in the kitchen, and getting married was their job, or getting a secretarial job. Getting married, rearing kids, and that was it. Me, no, that was not the life I wanted. So in '86 we did decide to emigrate because of the economic position we were in also. I guess I was a naive woman at that point, but I didn't really understand what America was, because the stories was the money was good, the streets were paved with gold, and there we were going to make it. But when I got here, it was a different story, obviously. There was people speaking all different languages. Living in a city was terrible. First year, I think, when I came here, I cried every night. I hated it, hated it. The closest thing I got to understanding a little bit about immigration or anybody going anywhere was when I was a little girl. I'd say I must have been about 10 or 11. Every Saturday morning there was a show called Overseas Request on, and I heard Tommy Smith interviewing people, sending greetings to Ireland to their family. I would listen to that show every morning for years.
You are live newscast. This is Tommy Smith saying Slán agus Banach.
DJ Radio is Tommy Smith. Is tá breis agus fiche blian caitige tráchtarach der chluí chuman lúchleas Gaeil I barc na Gaeil. Ach níor leor son dar chun dé lú. I néideag nócha dó, chléig Tommy an líonra crealchain sport, ESPN, is dathraigh a héal ó bhain.
My mother used to always say that, you know, everything in life was just being in the right place at the right time. So I got here as ESPN International was starting. ESPN announced that they had signed the Champions League for 153 countries around the world, including the United States. That was my break.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the latest edition of ESPN's SoccerNet Press Pass. You know it's always going to be a good show, and you've got Tommy Smith and Shania Hislop in the studio.
It was a little difficult in the early days in the US because it did take people a while to tune in to the way I was. I don't think that there is one other person who is on network television in the United States with an Irish accent every week like I am. UEFA are just saying, OK, we are making a big deal out of it. They have no intentions of doing anything to it. I will eat my tie and his tie too if UEFA do something on this on Sunday.
Inis tá Tommy na tráchtarí is mó a bhíonn le fiscint líonra ESPN. Bíonn sé an air feadh 10 nuair a chuig gach seachtain I géad chuige tír fud na cruinne. Ach níor bhéon rud nua nimmercha go Nua Eabhrac, the Winter Smith.
Actually, I had an aunt who lived here for many years, an Aunt Minnie, and she would come home every couple of years, and she was always talking about how things were in America. She convinced me in 1963 that maybe I should come out, and I decided that I would come out for 2 years. I promised my parents I'd be back in 2 years, and that's obviously 47 years ago, so it's been a long 2 years. We weren't as educated as the Irish coming out now. We didn't have as many things going for us as the Irish coming out now. But the one thing that made us really all stick together was we were Irish. The Irish community was a very vibrant community. Most of it revolved around Gaelic Park.
Gaelic Park wasn't just a place in the 50s and 60s in particular where games took place. People went there for the games in the afternoon. We served dinner at 6 or 7 o'clock. There was a bar there, obviously, and then they'd have a dance there at night. There's a whole host of stories in it about how couples met and what their social life was through the 50s and 60s here, and it all revolved around Gaelic Park. You know, there's an incredible social history there.
We got an Yalan Shaw. Well, no, I had Shaw go Lewis and Hocktagy. You know, modern Dinny Organ Shaw, Costle and Ish Mahan. You're Hossie in the Scaff Chamora Chact, Guji Alarn Hocktagy, no, Guji Jerin Hocktagy, all that's good. And then Hossie in the Scaff Chamora Chact and London Shaw, we foreign more Pella Organ Hain, foreign into larger organ. We, well, it was between the Pelladary more on Bala, like me, a Gobberin Shaw, and your Ober Beast of Bala, because I the man Shaw. Dini Mar, Mayar Antonevich and Shaw for a couple of Sauru. Larry Tompkins, Porrick Dunn, we foreign more of Chirconnell and Shaw, we foreign more of Contiel and Shaw first thing now.
Virtually all of the clubs had very, very strong connections with places where they could get employment. And in many cases, it dictated your career. I mean, if you played for Longford, you're going to be a doorman on the west side of Manhattan. If you played for Leitrim, you're going to be a barman. If you played for Cork, you're going to work on the docks in Brooklyn. If you played for Sligo, you're going to be a carpenter on White Plains. You know, if you played for Waterford, you're probably going to be in the marble contracting business. Because a lot of these guys who were involved at that stage had very strong connections with the unions. And so they could place you at that time in jobs. There's a social phenomenon about being involved in the GAA as well. Perhaps more so here than at home, because you are in a different culture. and you're not the dominant culture. And so the affiliation with the GAA is quite important to a lot of people, as is the affiliation with the parade, as is the affiliation with the county associations, for instance. And the further away from home at some level you are, the more important the connection becomes. You know, it may be sort of, you know, teeth grinding to some people, but it's true.
Chui cuman lúchlas Gaeil gúil sa chathair, in jawl an laidú a tháinig immerce as éiring le 5 bliain anuas. Tá de brahanis chlán na níne a bhog Gaeil Nua Eabhrac sna hochtodí den géad se caite.
The reality of it is these kids are born in America. They're Americans, you know, so perhaps their first loyalty is to America and America and all its, everything about it, including its sport, perhaps.
Gaelic Park is the hub for so many great things that has happened to so many people in this city. For me, I always consider it that it gave me a career because I became a broadcaster there. And it also gave me a wife because I had the good pleasure of meeting a young lassie from Cork who was playing camogie with the Young Irelanders, Trassa Goodwin. And one thing led to another, and we ended up getting married, and probably the best move I made in my life. At times, things were not so good for the Irish in America. I mean, there was a time when Hell's Kitchen was littered with signs that said N-I-N-A, no Irish need apply. So nobody gave us anything. We went out and we got it ourselves.
Ag deireadh na seascadaí den naoú céad díag, ní bhéidir leis na himmerce gas éiring dulchan cín I measc an phobail gan cócht éigean a bheith acu. Agus is tríd an bolaíocht a bhuineadar an chócht san amach. Le teachan cín Tammany Hall, ingel polaíochta an fortaí Ghaeil Nua, hí smacht níos mó ná riamhaige Gaeil Nua Eabhrac, agus leidríag Gaeil Nua Eabhrac go mór. Chuig Tammany ó Ghoras go Doras ag iarraigh cabhrú le héirnig bhochta na carrach. Chur sé postanna, bia agus dídan fáil dóibh chun a nílseacht a chin tú. Bhí géar gá ag éirnig an ghorta le cothú agus seasavacht, agus hacaig a bhar a bhuair leis. Laistigh de 5 bliain, bhí ceannas ghlacathaigh na héirnig Tammany, agus athraithe ón mán na níos acu. Bé Nua Eabhrac an chéad chathair riamh a raibh an chosmhaintear a gceannas agus éireannig a ben na daoine sin.
When the Irish invented American politics, it's a fundamental issue that people forget about. We invented it. We created it. We created Tammany Hall. We created the network. We created the kind of ideas that, you know, became the contemporary political ethos. And I think it's the greatest gift we gave to this country.
They were still utterly barred from the top ranks of American society. They're not the people of Wall Street or the Ivy Leagues, but they began to become the class that ran the undercity in New York. The fire department, the police department, the civil service jobs, the construction jobs. The Irish were in all of those things and beginning to push their way forward.
As I hunkered on the floor, hugging the bowl, it was coming back to me. I'd staggered off the plane at JFK the previous evening. My cousin Paul had been there to meet me. We'd driven in over the Triborough Bridge. I remembered seeing it now, Manhattan, a silhouette of skyscrapers like black headstones against a hazy orange sky. We'd gone straight to an Irish bar in the Bronx to meet the rest of my cousins. I remembered the air conditioning in the first frosty beer stein. The rest was a blur. I pried myself off the toilet bowl and splashed some cold water on my face at the sink. I took a look at myself in the mirror. There I was, Colin Broderick, 20 years old, an Irishman in New York. I'd made it.
If I look at what happened in the 1980s as a New Yorker, right, the measuring stick would be what happened to New York in the 1970s. It went through an awful, awful period of decline. And then suddenly in the 1980s, even in the Bronx, which was the hardest hit of all, suddenly you had this surge of new life.
You have these guys who arrived off the boat, really just getting to know their way around town, and within 6 months, they're running a company. They have 3 vans on the road, they have 30 guys working for them. There was this pioneering spirit where they were just gonna go in and just do whatever it took to make a bunch of money right away. You'd literally be on the Deegan, the major Deegan, driving down to work in the morning, and there would be like a convoy of Chevy vans with shamrocks and tricolours, and the bosses were Irish. We hired all Irish guys. You worked with Irish guys. We left work in the afternoon and went directly to McLean Avenue and drank with Irish guys. You got up in the morning and you did the same thing. I was broke when I got off the plane, and within 2 months, I rented my own 2-bedroom apartment in Woodlawn and bought a little sports car. And during that first 2 months, I drank every single night and ate a steak dinner in the local bar. I literally couldn't spend the money that I was making. And it felt like this would never, ever end.
They both drove the revitalization and they rode along on top of it because they were able to get into these businesses. They were able to do the construction trades. They were plumbing and carpentry, and whatever you needed, you could find Irish contractors from 204th Street to come and do your job for you.
32 bars, I think, in the space of 5 blocks down Bainbridge Avenue, all Irish bars. And every single one of them was packed out the door, and people were literally waving 20s and 50s 4 deep at the bar all night long. And a lot of times, and I did it myself for many years, you could leave work on a Friday evening and not get back to your apartment until late Sunday night or just in time for work on Monday morning. It was just this wild bacchanalia, this wild party where you could do no wrong being an Irish guy. The stereotype of the Irish drinking, we earned. It's there. We did it. We came over and we drank. I do think that we did quite a bit of damage to our reputation by how we lived.
An Nua Eabhrac caiit a bhí gabhar. Níl dóibh bí a léir. Níl rud a bhí stír an Nua Eabhrac, níl te mar éireann leis an idirthes an sláinte sír, níl rud a bhí mar sin an seo. Tháinig me sin mar go deabaire gaithíthe ag ceithre go dtí a híineag le áfagad sábhailta ollscoil Nua Eabhrac. Tá me gabair an sin go dtí 7 máidin agus an sin teamuid go Queens nar a oscailméid Teatábhairne. Tá sé ionntach hectic, agus tá me tuirse gach lá ach níl mé complainó.
Nuair a tháinig Marie McGuinness go Nua Eabhrac lena fiancé in 1992, bhí pleananna iontacha acu don am a bhí rompa.
An Cork agus an Clár agus
An plan a bhí agan fannacht an seo tamil garid. Airgad a hábal agus go bhhála go duine ngáil agus tealaach agus te a chur suas. Ach chanig ar an mór ar sin thar ihe. An fi me fear céile bás gínta tuban. Agus an féine rá ní rós agam róma ag teach ná a gceamacht. Ní rós agam gur fannacht an seo ar go bhhála go duine ngáil. Tám ionta brónach a bhíon, ach chuí an tám hart agus tháinig opportunity suas le Teatábhairne oscailt. An scois mé McGuinness is bar in an Teatábhairne in dhéime fear chéile fear bás. Agus tá agam go mbeadh sé ionta bradal mar bheadh sé abalta Gaeil. Tá buis Gaeil Nua, Ciara agus Lauren, agus gachtairí ó bhí Ciara ceithre bliana, tá si go duine gáil ar na líon de sira. Go dtí granny agus grande agus na colceithre, agus tá ahas mór an bhfuil si abalta feiceannáit ar tháinig me seo. Mar a chur ceist ar na Gailní carabásaíad, dúironn siad gur éarnach iad ar nach America.
And these are all going to be
having fun with Granny and Granda and all your cousins and aunties and uncles.
Le teach na nimmercach go dtí na láithreacha tógála sna hochtdóidí den géad se caite, curg bathe nua I geantar Woodlawn sa Bronx. Is fad a rivision a bhí an áit in a tearman ag na héireannig. Ó hús an chéad se caite, hosnig éarnig I gastrú ó huaig go dtí an counter cuain seo, meolta ag caidán marachtainna níos fearr, agus an deise bhí co tithe dá go héin na chinachán.
This is the house that my family lived in when I was born. I was the youngest of 6 children. This was a great jumping off point for when people came to America from Ireland. My parents would always put people up. My father would take relatives, let them live here until they got on their feet. He would get them work, get them a job, find an apartment. Many of them have lived here, raised families, and have had several generations that have lived here. But it does bring back some amazing memories. My father and mother were both born in Kerry, though they met here. My mother was a domestic, like so many Irish women were when she came into this country. As a matter of fact, my mother actually cared for President Franklin Roosevelt's grandchildren and spent 6 months living in the White House in 1932. I think that somehow they wanted us to become more American, so they didn't really, force feed us on, Irish culture and what went on in Ireland. But oddly enough, no one ever entered my house that didn't have a brogue, so it kind of was self-defeating because that's the only kind of people that I even knew existed when I was growing up. When the first time I went out in the street and heard somebody speak in the Bronx accent, I said, where are you from? It's funny, when I was younger, I didn't care about being Irish. I never really thought about it that much. We got more involved in playing the American sports and in American activities, going to American movies. My appreciation of being Irish probably came when I was older.
I think part of the immigrant experience is you want to push your children to something else. The concentration was having come to America, get on with America. And they, of course, had crossed this great divide of people who worried about just putting bread on the table. They were suddenly in a new position. And I think their emphasis with their children was, get on with it. Keep going into America. We've made this great leap for you, and there's no need to look behind.
Thank you. Thank you. 16 years of a Catholic education. That's how we used to meet girls when we were in high school. You used to go down to the church on a Saturday afternoon during confession and see who stayed in there the longest. Mary Pat Morrissey is still in there. You think she'll go out with me? I extended the Irish culture more onto my children than my father did to me.
Joanne, what do you got? What do you got?
Oh, it was Joanne and then Uncle Mick and Chuckles.
My children will carry the traditions forward, I believe, because they, like myself, have embraced it. I mean, as they've gotten older, they themselves have been able to sort of separate what makes us different from other people, and they like it.
Ach bhí sé anahimú am a bhac, de leabhar sé lom annachcuid nuair a tháinig sé ó Éireann ag iarraí na difríochtaí idir Éire agus America a thuiscint So it's even lum nor hagan sé William or being sé tá sé iri an rud goléir curla céile like an éireannach mé an Gaeil Nua mé an cadíd na difrachtaí tá daoine mar daoine peáit a héan tú ach cadíd na rudaí atá éireannach le agus an bhfuil tréthe Americanach le so bíonn sé ag smaoinmh go dain faoi an dá cultúr.
That was funny running into Jack and Saoirse.
She still remembers the word for water in Irish.
Do you know what ice cream is in Irish? Terrible mother.
I don't want to.
Rugarosh in 2002, agus I fisrach a Dave Eabhrac agus a rúchas I gcónaí. Rocky mé is Jack chuid na seomra ranga lá éile Pádraig agus dearmid cúpla áir an. Beg an don daus a gaelach. Tugam mid ólas don na páistí faoi na hairnig agus or good cultúr. You know, I think they sell tato in this pub, or they used to. Nor ágan tú do hiarchúchas, bíonn sí fós de crí agus de cheanga ein nós. Pe áite bhfuil tú adnítar gur éarnach tú láithreach.
Cad faoi an céad clún eile, an oscailíonna deacht dúil níos láidre aning inar galtar féin agus sin ag irí a chaomhnú agus a thuairt dóibh. An bhfuil sé fíorrá go dastítar bheith páirteach I bobbal áirithe ó hús an tíl. Nu an bhéad fórrá nach dagan an ceiste an níos ach bháin I saolta na nimmerchach uignach. Cá as a dagan na mothúcháin seo. An athraíonn ar saolta thar lear sin, nu an oscailíonn saol I dír uair, dóir se nua atá aning hain. Dóir se a bhí gcónaí aning, ach deis iad oscailt.
Na Gaeil atá lár an scéal seo gine, hangad Gaeil Nua Eabhrac agus chuirg fáilte rompa, tuisc éireacht na mlúinte a tháinig rompa. Anuas go dtí an fiú híis, dibrig imircigh as éiring go cruig, chun baile nua dhéanamh dóibh héin America, agus gach bach a bhí sa tlíortha a thárú. Sa bhílís nua, caffar doling lec le dúchláin nua. Bud a thiocht na níine a tháinig an sa aimsear an ghort an éiring, cuid mhór deicme ibre vericas na carracha feadh bhad. Chuig gach glúin nua tháinig as éiring I bheidh mar a slí héin an gcathair, agus chothíad pobal imircach a bhrá as cuimse
You own up to what it is you want and desire, and New York teaches you how to ask for it.
Well, is the gummis misha on tain ban and a kata and a DJ Technicola Nua Eabhrac.
They thought that they imported us from Ireland just to become cops.
Dech me sús agus bhí an tower titim. Chula wow mór ón slua.